Breaking news. It looks like the British public is not going to have a comfortable retirement. Today we found out that it is estimated that 35% of the British workforce don't have a pension, and this is despite the UK having an auto-enrolment regime. Additionally, more than 20% of those over 50 don't have a private pension, which means they are totally dependent on the state for their retirement income. And if they had contributed the maximum amount during their employment, they would only at this point in time be entitled to just over £9,000 for the entire year. This is a far stretch from a comfortable retirement. None of us want to live out our golden years in a tarnished state. So, why are we not doing anything about it? This video will unravel the mystery and make sure you are not a victim. Hi there. We're going to take a look at why it is so difficult for us to get our retirement saving act together. Now, confession time. I seem to make a lot of confessions in these videos, but I have to admit I failed epically when it came to saving for retirement. I started saving as soon as I got my job done. Fist bump, well done to me. But then I left that first job and found out you've got a lump sum in your retirement savings. I thought, how could I spend the lump sum I had accumulated? And I didn't for a second consider the far distant financial future of the older Michelle. And so I spent it. But it doesn't end there. I did it again when I left my second job and my third job. And cherry on top, I did it for the final time when I left South Africa to be transferred to the UK. And boy, am I regretting it now as I try to catch up on the years that I wasted because I spent my retirement savings. So just what is this deal with not being able to save for retirement when we are young? And even for some of us when we are not so young. Well, besides the obvious challenge of having to defer our spending today to some difficult to imagine future, science has uncovered the reason why it is so difficult for us to save for retirement. And it literally boils down to how our brains are wired. So I want to take that and say, not our faults. But now we're going to find out why we do it and we're going to stop. So basically, I'm going to take you into an evolution story here. But early humans developed the mechanisms within their brain that help them sense and avoid danger so they can maintain life over time. So what happened is over many, many years, these advanced and they became a lot more automatic and unconscious so that we could react quickly when faced with challenges. And so as a result, because of this unconscious nature of these reactions, they've continued to live within the prehistoric parts of our brains. As we've evolved and we've developed further cognitive biases, and these are the mental shortcuts that enable us to quickly simplify information and the message behind what we receive. And these mental shortcuts are very much driven by prior experiences or things we have absorbed or seen, and that we've developed a little bit of a story, a little bit of a bias about. So the brain is basically a giant computer, but it can only interpret things based on the data that it has already got from events it's previously encountered or others' reactions to things or to an event. So what happens is these biases are not necessarily well thought out. So they aren't always logical and quite frankly aren't always an accurate interpretation of reality. And so we're dealing with this. We have these following three particular cognitive biases that pose a particular challenge for us when it comes to saving for the future, and especially for a distant, very, very hard to imagine retirement. So let's take a deeper look at these so we can recognize them when we apply them in our own thinking and to our own financial life. The first of these biases is the optimism bias. And just by its name, I really like it. But This bias is that humans have a tendency to overestimate the probability that good things are going to happen and underestimate the probability of negative events. So this can lead us to taking certain suboptimal decisions where we kind of assume it will all work out in the end. For example, disempowering financial actions like getting into a large amount of debt and just assuming that somehow in the future we'll make enough money, it will all work itself out. We sometimes do this on our spending as well, where we encounter that big ticket item that we don't really have enough money for now, and we know our money needs to be used for other things, but yet we go and buy that big ticket item and kind of assume this will all work itself out somewhere in the wash. Now, the bad news is scientists have said that it is very difficult to reduce over-optimism. Doesn't sound too bad to me. And in fact, it's not, because we can use this bias in our favor. So this over-optimism enables us to be quite enthusiastic and positive about the future in some circumstances. And if we can somehow harness that and build a big, juicy, attractive vision of what our future will look like, we can then generate the motivation to do something about creating that future and to save now to achieve it. So get your over-optimism working for you, not against you. You have a choice. £1,000 in your hand right now, or £1,500 in a year. Which would you choose? Most of us would choose the 1,000 now. And this is driven by the second bias, our bias to the present. This is our tendency to choose or to value money now more than we value money in the future. And of course, this would be one of the biggest obstacles to saving for that future. So research has shown the present bias has a lot to do with our fear of a positive outcome not being achieved in the future. And this is quite ironic, seeing as our optimism bias had us being more optimistic that a negative outcome wouldn't happen in the future. Our present bias is more negative to a positive outcome happening in the future. So the bottom line is, frankly, we don't spend too much time thinking about the future us. And as a result, we haven't really developed a close enough relationship with this vague person to care about our future, and we haven't developed a strong enough vision of that future to make it any bit meaningful to us. So in order to give more positive weight to the future, we need two things. The first one is certainty, and the second one is an emotional connection to our future selves. Now, certainty seems to be the harder of the two, given that we live in a very uncertain world. But by establishing a roadmap or a framework for what we need to do to get us forward, we can then start building the anticipation and excitement for the outcome at the end of the journey. So we're going to imagine it like an exciting journey. Imagine we're going on vacation. When we're going on vacation to a really exciting place, as long as we know the steps that will take to get us to our destination, we don't really care too much about how the situation may change a bit during the course of those steps. We know we have to pack our bags, we have to arrange a cab, we have to get to the airport check-in, we have to catch a flight, and hello, we're at our destination. The reality is, though, as we all know with any form of air travel or vacation travel, that it doesn't always work that smoothly. But we're willing to take that risk because of the excitement of the journey. So our future planning around our finances can work on exactly the same basis. We just have to get to know our destination. So where do you want to be at the future time? What do you want to be doing? How do you imagine that future time? What are you going to need to make you happy? And what are you going to need to sustain that lifestyle? So you generate the excitement around your future financial destination. Then consider not reaching that destination. So you've got all this excitement around it, and now think you're not going to get there. Imagine how you are going to feel. you're not going to reach your dream destination. You're not going to have the things you need to live that dream life. So what are you going to have to sacrifice to just live? And how will your life be if you cannot do the things that you imagined? So build on this fear of missing out. Now finally, you have the excitement of this very, very epic future you. You have the devastation of not achieving it. So create your roadmap that will take you there. Now James Clear, the author of my favorite book of all time, The Atomic Habits, and I highly recommend it, has written an excellent article called Time Inconsistency, and it's around beating our present bias trap. And it's a very actionable read and can help you further to take action. I'm going to include a link to his book and to the article in the show notes. Please do take a look. The final bias that gets in the way of us saving for our future or retirement is loss aversion bias. And this bias means that our fears around losing prevent us from taking a risk that will result potentially in us gaining more. We all live by that saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the tree. So loss aversion bias is what causes us to feel the pain of losing 10 pounds way in excess of the joy we feel in gaining 10 pounds. And this fear fuels our unwillingness to risk our money by investing for the future. And as a result, we'd rather take disempowering money actions, for example, spending our money, rather than putting it towards building assets. So to counter this bias, we firstly have to recognize that we have it. And then secondly, we have to question what are the motivations and fears that are driving our loss aversion. And oftentimes, these are driven by some negative money beliefs we have developed through experiences with money in our childhood. And once we have that, we can then take actions to mitigate the potential or reduce the potential for loss when we do go and put our money at risk. Armed with these insights, we can then collect contradictions through knowledge, education, and collecting facts. And we can then start taking the actions to build our investments. The ultimate way to get out of this inertia or fear of loss is to take action. So, empowered with our awareness of ourselves and our education around investing, we have absolutely no further excuses to hold ourselves back. A successful retirement is created by having a plan, taking action early and consistently, and continuing to build assets over time. So understanding what might get in the way of us doing this and building a framework to overcome these obstacles, which may be both internal and external to the environment, it gives us the certainty that we can actually achieve the goals we have set for ourselves in the future, no matter what obstacles we encounter. On that note, I have included a life and vision goals worksheet below to help you generate a nice juicy future vision to make saving and investing for the future more meaningful. So if you have liked this video, please let me know by liking it. Please share it with other ladies ready to change their financial story, and comment below if you find anything in this video helpful. For financial education and money talk designed for women, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. It's been great chatting to you, and I look forward to chatting again in the future.